We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. The word cosmos stands for universe, by the way, and these are the words by Carl Sagan, a very famous and very well-known American astronomer. We'll talk more about him apart from all the vocabulary that we shall discuss in the session. And ये जो आपका root है cosmos, it comes from the roots cosmos and cosmos, which is the subject, which are the roots that we are taking up in today's episode, right? So, episode number 21. Welcome to Daily Word Webs, guys, to Build the Cat. मेरा introduction मैं आपको session के end में दूंगा. Right now, let's jump into the content. These roots have their origin in the Greek language, and what they stand for is universe or world. Okay, there are other roots which are not similar in meaning, which are like kind of correlates, as in like Stel and Esther, which generally stand for star, right? So not universe. That's why if you've noticed, I've changed this from other similar roots to other correlate roots, right? So which refer to the same kind of idea, right? So you have stars in the universe. So Stellar and Astro are other roots that stand for stars, and we'll take these up in the upcoming sessions. Okay. Sagan was an American astronomer and planetary scientist, cosmologist, astrophysicist, and science communicator. There was this एक series थी इनकी with the same title, Cosmos, wherein he covers or talks about a wide range of scientific subjects like the origin of life, perspective of our place in universe, etc., etc. And it was quite popular at that time, है ना? And उसमें as part of that series and as part of book of the same name, एक बहुत ही famous कुछ lines है उनकी, which I'll share with you. So उसके पहले एक छोटी सी there's a story behind this. So there was this once in 1977, NASA launched a space probe called Voyager 1, and which was supposed to help us as a species study the outer regions of the solar system. It was kind of on a one-way mission कि हाँ सीधा उसको बाहर भेज दो एकदम और जाता रहेगा वहाँ से photographs भेजेगा वहाँ से और भी experiments करके भेजेगा data भेजेगा so that we can understand कि what lies out there, right? So and it was supposed to go on and on and on. Now after once it reached the very externalities, the most outer regions of the solar system, and like ऐसा लग रहा था कि इसके बाद शायद इसको control करना like operate करना मुश्किल हो so at that point of time Carl Sagan, the astronomer which I just mentioned a few moments ago, on his request it was NASA had the Voyager you know turn towards the direction of Earth and take a final picture of our planet from a distance of about 6 billion kilometers. Okay, 6 billion kilometers. So yeah, and the picture is famously known as the pale blue dot. आपको ये picture दिख रही है यहाँ पे? Like this whole picture. This is the picture that was taken, and these bands that you see are basically represent the sunlight, the light that's coming from the sun at that point. This is a picture taken by the Voyager, and you want to try and spot where you have a planet Earth. Well, it's right here. Okay, this tiny dot you see here, ये छोटा सा pale blue dot, and that's the subject of the pale blue dot lines that Carl Sagan later coined in one of his books. And मैं थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे vocab पे हम लोग वापस आ रहे हैं. I'm just going a slightly tangent because there's something really interesting here. Just go through this. So what he said with respect to this pale blue dot was, he said that look again at the dot. That's here as in the planet. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, lived here, on this small pale dot, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Right. So these are the words of Carl Sagan. So I've always found this very intriguing, and that's why I thought I'll share it with you. Anyhow, so let's begin with the vocab part. So by now you must have understood why and how the word cosmos relates to the universe or the world, right? So the word that is, it's a term that is used for the whole universe or a comprehensive orderly system of entities. Okay, so that's cosmos for you. From cosmos, there are other words that we can look into, which, for example, like cosmonaut, right? And cosmonaut is, and there's yet another word which is astronaut. I'm sure you must have heard of astronaut for definitely, right? So now both of these are terms that are used for people or an individual who travel in a spacecraft, who travel in space, right? So उनके लिए ये word use किया जाता है. These both, and in both of these words, this root, the not part, is derived from the root not nautes, which is Greek, which is the Greek term for sailor. Okay, this is the Greek term for sailor. So a cosmonaut is a person who sails in the cosmos. An astronaut is the person who sails in the stars. Now astro comes from aster, right? जो root हमने इसके पहले वाले part में root info वाले part में हमने देखा, comes from aster. Anyways, we will look more, do a more detailed treatment of this root in the next session. So yeah, so an astronaut is a person who travels among the stars, cosmonaut among the in the universe. Essentially meaning दोनों का same है. It's just that Americans used to use the term astronaut, and Russians, people from the Soviet Union and Russia space program, they used to use the term cosmonaut, right, just to keep a difference there. So yeah, so these are the couple of other interesting terms here. Let's move on to the next word that we have, which is cosmopolitan. Okay, now guys, the cosmopolitan, again, the first part of the word obviously comes from cosmos, that stands for universe. And the second part of the word derives, that is politan, that derives from P-O-L-I-S, or you can also say P-O-L-I-T, both of which are Greek terms, for city, right? So if you say cosmopolitan, you're essentially saying that a person who's a citizen of the world, right? Who's a citizen of the world. And because cosmos stands for universe or world here, and polity comes, the politan part is like a variation of polity that changes city to citizen. So and essentially what it would mean is like obviously it doesn't mean like technically the person would have the citizenship of every country in the world. No, what it would mean is like it is basically, it is used to refer to a person who has traveled long and far enough in various parts of the world, that so much so that he can be considered in an informal sense a true citizen of every place on the planet, right? Like he's not just fixated, his point of view, his outlook, his perspective is not just fixated to a small region, right? And hence it's considered to be sophisticated, right? Well-traveled person, someone who has a very wide perspective, who has a very broad outlook on things, or has a very worldwide scope, right? So that has a very positive connotation, cosmopolitan, right? So that's about cosmopolitan for us. Let's move on to the next term, which is cosmology. Now, logy is the term that stands for the study of something, right? The study of something. And cosmos obviously comes from the root cosmos, which means for universe. That means the study of universe, or rather say the science of the development and origins of the universe, is considered as cosmology, right? There are some other interesting terms that are similar to cosmology. For instance, consider the term cosmogony. Now, cosmogony, guys, the first part we obviously know derives from cosmos. The second part of this term, that is goni, actually derives from G-O-N-I-A, gonia, which means to beget something, or rather gonia, or maybe I think G-O-N-O-S. Both of these are terms taken from the Proto-Indo-European dialect, P-I-E. इसको जैसे the way you have the Latin language and the Greek language, similarly there is a Proto-Indo-European dialect. इसको short में आप pi बोला जाता है. So both of these terms have been taken from this. This is basically a language that was kind of it is the ancestral language of most of the language that we have in the world today, like English, Hindi, Gujarati. आप जितने भी terms यहाँ पे ले लीजिए, जो languages आप लेंगे, उन सबका जो एकदम the most ancestral language for all of them will be this PIE. Anyhow, so these terms have been derived from that language, and they stand for, these terms basically they stand for birth, to give birth to something, to bring about something, right? So gonos. So cosmogony, in a sense, is simply the branch of science that deals with specifically the theories relating to the origins of the universe. Okay, like how was the universe created, मतलब कैसे सब हर चीज की शुरुआत कैसे हुई, right? So like one of the theories is the Big Bang theory, right, and so on and so forth. So cosmogony relates to specifically the various theories and the study of the ways in which the universe could have started, right? So that's cosmogony. Similarly, you have cosmography. That's the another term, which is I think let's take that down here. Cosmography. Now, graphy is a root that we have like come across many times in the earlier episodes as well, and which comes from a Greek origin, Greek root, which is graphein, right? Which means to write something down. Or to take a note of something. In photography, you basically take note of the light rays, the photons, and hence you capture the photons on a piece of on a sheet, such that it captures the moment and it shows you the picture, right? Similarly, in case of cosmography is basically it describes the ongoing effort to determine some large scale features of the observable universe, right? So it's basically an attempt to take down all the large scale features of the universe, of the observable universe. जो भी universe आपके आसपास हम लोग को दिखता है, like in space of course, like what are the major, like it's essentially taking account of all that is there in the observable universe, okay? All that we have, taking note of that, okay? So might not necessarily relate directly to the origins or development, okay? So that's cosmography for you. Next in line, we have the term microcosm. Microcosm is the next term. Micro obviously comes from the root that we studied in the last session, micros, right? M-I-K-R-O-S, micros, that stands in Greek for small. So micro and cosm comes from cosmos, which is universe. So microcosm literally would mean a small universe, right? A niche that is a small niche that is kind of a world in itself. Okay, so for example, think of an ecological system which might be self-sufficient or self-sustaining, right? Maybe a marsh, or maybe the biological systems within the ocean, right? Although that is not really very micro, but still. So maybe a small marsh, or in fact, many times people have these aquariums, right, at their place, at their home, jahan pe they have these like think of maybe slightly large aquariums where you have many fishes. So where it almost serves like a world in itself, right? And people also have these ant farms, these artificial ant farms that people take care of as a hobby, which has a variety of ant groups, probably, right? So that can also be considered as a microcosm. The village can be considered the microcosm of the country, or a college. The context of a college can also be considered as a microcosm of a nation, right? So a microcosm is basically something that represents a larger entity or the larger world on a small scale. That's microcosm for you, a miniature universe, if you may say, right? So that's a microcosm for you. So yeah, so that's about the words for today, guys. Let's move on to the next part. Now, in this part of the video, guys, you can simply pause the session and go through the practical usage of each of these words that we discussed. It will help you get a sense of how to use, get a better understanding of these words, and how to use them as part of sentences. Okay, and as you can see, most of these sentences have been derived from some very credible sources. Here you can again pause the video and test yourself. You just need to find the correct order of sentences which have been shuffled, so that the right sentence is along with the right word. The words are fixed on the left side. You can also attempt this test via a Google form, the link to which has been provided in the description. So guys, here's the summary of the roots and words that we studied on a primary and secondary basis. What you can do is you can pause the video if you want and try to recall the meaning of these roots and the words that we discussed in the session today. Finally, guys, I'm Anupam Mishra and I'm Lucknow alumnus. These are my areas of work and expertise. These are the brands that I've worked with, and these are my CAT credentials. I've also worked as an academy educator in the past, recognized by the Johnny Ive Award for best course design and delivery. And yeah, so that's about me. Sluggers, guys, we are a growing channel. मैं यहाँ पे काफ़ी सारी जो दिक्कतें हैं यहाँ पे टेस्ट प्रेप में मैं उनको एड्रेस करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ स्लगर्स के द्वारा. एंड बिकॉज वी आर ग्रोइंग चैनल, हमें आपके पूरे सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत होगी. तो अगर आपको हमारा कंटेंट और डिलीवरी अच्छा लगता है देन डू like and subscribe, like the videos and subscribe to the channel and share it with anyone who you think might benefit from these. आपके लिए शायद वो एक सिंपल सा क्लिक या एक बटन रहता होगा, बट फॉर अ ग्रोइंग चैनल इट मेक्स अ बिग इट मेक्स अ बिग डिफरेंस फॉर अस. सो प्लीज डू दैट. अगर आप नेक्स्ट वीडियो देखना चाहते हैं तो आप यहाँ क्लिक कर सकते हैं. एंड इफ यू वांट टू गो टू द वेरी फर्स्ट वीडियो ऑफ द सीरीज जो अगर आपने नहीं देखा हो तो आप यहाँ क्लिक करके आगे जा सकते हैं. ओके, सो दैट्स अबाउट इट फ्रॉम माय साइड. थैंक यू.